In this video, I want to have a look at how we can use Pythagoras' theorem to test whether a triangle is a right-angled triangle or not. So we know that if we have a right-angled triangle, then it satisfies Pythagoras' theorem, but it also works the other way. So if we have a triangle and we don't know whether or not it's right-angled, if the three side lengths satisfy Pythagoras' theorem, then it has to be a right-angled triangle. So that's how we can check. The other thing I want to talk about is if three numbers satisfy Pythagoras' theorem, then they're called a Pythagorean triad. So let's have a look at some examples. So our first example asks us to test whether this is a right-angled triangle. So we know that Pythagoras' theorem is c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So what we're going to do is we're going to find c squared separately, and then off to the other side, we're going to find a squared plus b squared, and we're going to see if they are equal to each other. So c squared, we know that c is the hypotenuse. So in this one, that's our 75. So that would be 75 squared. And if you put that in your calculator, you're going to end up with 5,625. Now, if we have a look at the other side, our a squared plus b squared, that's going to be our 72 squared plus 21 squared. And it wouldn't matter if you had those the other way around. And if you put that in your calculator, you're also going to end up with 5,625. So therefore, we can write, yes, it is a right-angled triangle. So if we'd gone through this process and we got one number here for c squared, and we got a different number over here for a squared plus b squared, because the two things weren't the same, it doesn't satisfy Pythagoras' theorem and it wouldn't be a right-angled triangle. But for us, they did, so it is a right-angled triangle. Our last example says, is 10, 8, 6 a Pythagorean triad? So again, it's going to be a similar process because those three numbers have to satisfy Pythagoras' theorem to be a Pythagorean triad. So we know that c squared has to be our hypotenuse. Now we don't have it drawn on a triangle, but we know that the hypotenuse is always the longest side. So for us, the 10 is going to have to be the hypotenuse. So our c squared would be equal to 10 squared, which is 100. And our a squared plus b squared would be our two shorter sides. So that would be 8 squared plus 6 squared. If you put that in your calculator, it will end up with 100 as well. So therefore, yes, it is a Pythagorean triad.